Question 1. Which of the following best describes the role of law enforcement in the criminal justice system of West Virginia? A. Enforcing civil laws and regulations. B. Upholding the rights of individuals during legal proceedings. C. Influencing the legislative process to enact new laws. D. Providing legal advice to individuals in civil disputes. Correct answer. B. Upholding the rights of individuals during legal proceedings. Explanation. Law enforcement in West Virginia plays a crucial role in upholding the rights of individuals during legal proceedings. This includes ensuring due process, protecting individuals' constitutional rights, and maintaining public safety. Officers are tasked with investigating crimes, making arrests when necessary, and gathering evidence to support legal cases. Upholding the law and protecting citizens' rights are fundamental responsibilities of law enforcement officers in West Virginia, as outlined in both state and federal laws, including the West Virginia Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. Question 2. In West Virginia, which of the following is considered a misdemeanor? A. Theft of property worth $10,000. B. Possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. C. Assault resulting in serious bodily injury. D. Driving under the influence of alcohol. Correct answer. D. Driving under the influence of alcohol. Explanation. In West Virginia, driving under the influence of alcohol is typically classified as a misdemeanor offense. However, it's important to note that the classification of crimes and their penalties can vary based on the circumstances and prior convictions. DUI laws in West Virginia are outlined in the West Virginia Code, specifically Chapter 17, which defines the legal limits for blood alcohol concentration, BAC, and the penalties for violating DUI laws. While DUI is generally considered a misdemeanor, repeat offenses or DUI incidents resulting in serious injury or death can lead to felony charges. Question 3. Scenario: Mr. Rodriguez, police officer in Charleston, West Virginia, observes a vehicle swerving erratically on the road. Upon pulling the vehicle over, he notices the driver exhibiting signs of intoxication. Mr. Rodriguez suspects the driver is under the influence of alcohol. What should Mr. Rodriguez do in this situation according to West Virginia law? A. Issue a warning to the driver and allow them to continue driving. B. Conduct a field sobriety test and, if necessary, administer a breathalyzer test. C. Call for backup and search the vehicle for evidence of alcohol consumption. D. Advise the driver to park the vehicle and arrange for alternative transportation. Correct answer. B. Conduct a field sobriety test and, if necessary, administer a breathalyzer test. Explanation. According to West Virginia law, when a police officer suspects a driver of being under the influence of alcohol, they are authorized to conduct field sobriety tests and administer breathalyzer tests to determine the driver's level of impairment. This is in line with West Virginia's DUI laws, which aim to prevent accidents and promote road safety by detecting and apprehending impaired drivers. The procedures for conducting field sobriety tests and administering breathalyzer tests are outlined in the West Virginia Code, specifically Chapter 17, which provides guidelines for law enforcement officers to follow during traffic stops involving suspected DUI offenses. Question 4. In a critical incident scenario, a law enforcement officer must assess the situation and make informed decisions to ensure the safety of all individuals involved. Which of the following factors should an officer consider when making decisions in such situations? A. Personal preferences and biases. B. Potential media coverage and public opinion. C. Safety of all individuals, including suspects, bystanders, and fellow officers. D. Speed of resolution to minimize disruption to daily activities. Correct answer. C. Safety of all individuals, including suspects, bystanders, and fellow officers. Explanation. When faced with a critical incident, such as a violent confrontation or a hostage situation, law enforcement officers must prioritize the safety of all individuals involved. This includes assessing the risks to suspects, bystanders, and fellow officers and taking appropriate measures to minimize harm. Factors such as personal biases, media coverage, and the speed of resolution should not influence the decision-making process in critical incidents. Instead, officers should rely on their training, experience, and adherence to departmental policies and procedures to resolve the situation safely and effectively. Question 5. Community policing is a fundamental concept in law enforcement, emphasizing collaboration between police officers and community members to address crime and public safety issues. Which of the following best describes the principle of community policing? A. Reactive approach focusing on punishment and deterrence. B. Isolation of law enforcement from community involvement. C. Partnership between police and community to identify and solve problems. D. Centralized decision-making by law enforcement authorities. Correct answer. C. Partnership between police and community to identify and solve problems. Explanation. Community policing involves building partnerships between law enforcement agencies and community members to identify and address crime and public safety issues collaboratively. This approach emphasizes problem-solving and crime prevention strategies tailored to the specific needs and concerns of each community. By fostering trust, communication, and cooperation, community policing initiatives aim to enhance public safety and quality of life while promoting positive police-community relations. This principle is in line with the philosophy of community-oriented policing, which has been widely adopted by law enforcement agencies across the United States, including those in West Virginia. Question 6. As a law enforcement officer in West Virginia, which of the following situations would constitute a conflict of interest? A. Accepting a gift from a community member as a token of appreciation. B. Providing confidential information to a colleague for official purposes. C. Investigating a case involving a close relative or personal acquaintance. D. Refusing to assist a fellow officer in need during an emergency. Correct answer. C. Investigating a case involving a close relative or personal acquaintance. Explanation. A conflict of interest occurs when an individual's personal interests or relationships interfere with their professional duties or obligations. In the context of law enforcement, investigating a case involving a close relative or personal acquaintance can compromise the integrity and impartiality of the investigation. To maintain public trust and confidence in the justice system, law enforcement officers in West Virginia are expected to avoid situations where their personal relationships may unduly influence their actions or decisions. Ethical standards and departmental policies prohibit officers from engaging in activities that create or appear to create conflicts of interest, as such situations can undermine the fairness and impartiality of law enforcement proceedings. Question 7. Which of the following is true regarding West Virginia's traffic laws? A. Only vehicles exceeding the speed limit by 15 miles per hour or more are subject to fines. B. Motorists are required to yield to pedestrians only at designated crosswalks. C. Vehicles must come to a complete stop at stop signs, even if no other vehicles are present. D. Parking on a sidewalk is permissible if no other parking spaces are available. Correct answer. C. Vehicles must come to a complete stop at stop signs, even if no other vehicles are present. Explanation. West Virginia's traffic laws require motorists to come to a complete stop at stop signs, regardless of whether other vehicles are present at the intersection. This regulation ensures safe and orderly traffic flow by providing clear guidelines for motorists to follow at intersections. Failure to stop at a stop sign can result in traffic violations and fines, as outlined in the West Virginia Code, specifically Chapter 17, which governs traffic regulations and enforcement in the state. Adhering to stop sign laws contributes to overall road safety and helps prevent accidents and collisions at intersections. Question 8. During foot patrols and neighborhood watches, law enforcement officers in West Virginia play a crucial role in maintaining community safety and preventing criminal activity. Which of the following is an effective strategy for officers to identify and respond to suspicious activity? A. Ignoring minor infractions to avoid confrontations with community members. B. Conducting random searches of individuals without reasonable suspicion. C. Establishing positive relationships with residents to gather information and tips. D. Using aggressive tactics to intimidate potential offenders and deter crime. Correct answer. C. Establishing positive relationships with residents to gather information and tips. Explanation. Establishing positive relationships with residents is a cornerstone of effective community policing strategies in West Virginia. By fostering trust and cooperation within the community, law enforcement officers can gather valuable information and tips about suspicious activity or criminal behavior. This collaborative approach not only enhances the effectiveness of patrols and crime prevention efforts, but also strengthens police-community relations and builds mutual respect and understanding. Additionally, maintaining open lines of communication with residents allows officers to address community concerns and tailor their policing efforts to meet the specific needs of each neighborhood. Question 9. In West Virginia, which of the following is a recommended first aid procedure for common injuries that law enforcement officers may encounter during emergency response situations? A. Applying a tourniquet to stop bleeding from a minor laceration. B. Administering over-the-counter pain medication for suspected fractures. C. Providing rescue breaths and chest compressions for a victim of cardiac arrest. D. Immobilizing a suspected spinal injury by keeping the victim's head and neck stable. Correct answer. D. Immobilizing a suspected spinal injury by keeping the victim's head and neck stable. Explanation. When responding to emergency situations, law enforcement officers in West Virginia may encounter individuals with various injuries, including suspected spinal injuries. In such cases, it is essential to immobilize the victim's head and neck to prevent further damage to the spinal cord. This can be achieved by carefully stabilizing the head in a neutral position and minimizing movement until medical professionals arrive. Failure to properly manage suspected spinal injuries can exacerbate the damage and lead to long-term complications for the victim. Therefore, officers should receive training in basic first aid techniques, including proper procedures for immobilizing and stabilizing individuals with suspected spinal injuries. Question 10. Understanding human behavior and psychology is essential for law enforcement officers to effectively interact with individuals in diverse situations. Which of the following signs may indicate a potential mental health crisis? A. Expressing gratitude and appreciation for assistance from law enforcement. B. Exhibiting extreme agitation or aggression without apparent cause. C. Following instructions and complying with lawful commands from officers. D. Engaging in coherent and rational communication during interactions. Correct answer. B. Exhibiting extreme agitation or aggression without apparent cause. Explanation. Individuals experiencing a mental health crisis may exhibit signs of extreme agitation or aggression without an apparent cause. These behaviors can manifest as verbal outbursts, physical aggression, or erratic movements that may pose a risk to themselves or others. Law enforcement officers in West Virginia are trained to recognize these signs and respond appropriately by employing de-escalation techniques and seeking assistance from mental health professionals when necessary. It's important for officers to approach individuals in crisis with empathy, patience, and understanding while prioritizing the safety and well-being of all parties involved. Additionally, ongoing training and education on mental health awareness can help officers develop the skills and knowledge needed to effectively manage mental health-related incidents in the community. Question 11. In West Virginia, which amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects individuals against unreasonable searches and seizures by law enforcement? A. First Amendment. B. Fourth Amendment. C. Fifth Amendment. D. Eighth Amendment. Correct answer. B. Fourth Amendment. Explanation. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures by law enforcement. This means that law enforcement officers in West Virginia must obtain a warrant based on probable cause before conducting a search or seizure, except in certain limited circumstances where warrantless searches are permitted, such as during a lawful arrest or in emergency situations. The Fourth Amendment is a cornerstone of constitutional law and serves to safeguard individuals' privacy rights and protect against arbitrary government intrusion. Violations of the Fourth Amendment may result in evidence being excluded from criminal proceedings, as outlined in the legal doctrine of the exclusionary rule. Question 12. Which of the following is an example of a strict liability offense in West Virginia? A. First-degree murder. B. Burglary. C. Speeding. D. Grand theft auto. Correct answer. C. Speeding. Explanation. In West Virginia, speeding is considered a strict liability offense, meaning that a person can be held criminally liable for the offense regardless of their intent or mental state at the time of the violation. Unlike crimes that require proof of criminal intent, mens rea, strict liability offenses impose liability based solely on the act itself, actus reus. This means that even if a person did not intend to speed or was unaware of exceeding the speed limit, they can still be prosecuted for the offense. Strict liability offenses are often associated with public safety regulations and are designed to promote compliance with legal requirements to prevent harm or damage to individuals or property. Question 13. During emergency response situations, law enforcement officers in West Virginia may encounter individuals experiencing medical emergencies. Which of the following is a common symptom of a heart attack? A. Profuse sweating. B. Rapid breathing. C. Elevated body temperature. D. Persistent coughing. Correct answer. A. Profuse sweating. Explanation. Profuse sweating is a common symptom of a heart attack, also known as myocardial infarction. During a heart attack, the body's natural response to decrease blood flow to the heart muscle is to increase sweating as it tries to cool itself down. Other symptoms of a heart attack may include chest pain or discomfort, shortness of breath, nausea or vomiting, lightheadedness, and pain or discomfort in other areas of the upper body, such as the arms, back, neck, or jaw. Recognizing the signs and symptoms of a heart attack is crucial for law enforcement officers to provide timely assistance and summon medical aid to the scene. Question 14. In West Virginia, which technology is commonly used by law enforcement officers to measure the speed of vehicles and enforce traffic laws? A. Breathalyzer. B. Radar gun. C. Body-worn camera. D. Mobile fingerprint scanner. Correct answer. B. Radar gun. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in West Virginia commonly use radar guns to measure the speed of vehicles and enforce traffic laws. Radar guns emit radio waves that bounce off moving vehicles, allowing officers to determine the speed of the vehicle based on the Doppler effect. This technology enables officers to detect speeding violations and enforce speed limits on roadways, contributing to overall traffic safety and accident prevention efforts. Radar guns are calibrated and certified to ensure accuracy and reliability in measuring vehicle speeds, and officers receive training on proper usage and interpretation of radar readings to effectively enforce traffic laws. Question 15. Which of the following best describes the principle of problem-oriented policing in West Virginia? A. Reactive approach focusing on responding to incidents as they occur. B. Isolation of law enforcement from community involvement. C. Proactive approach focusing on identifying underlying causes of recurring problems. D. Centralized decision-making by law enforcement authorities. Correct answer. C. Proactive approach focusing on identifying underlying causes of recurring problems. Explanation. Problem-oriented policing in West Virginia emphasizes a proactive approach to law enforcement that focuses on identifying and addressing the underlying causes of recurring problems within communities. This approach involves analyzing crime data, conducting community assessments, and collaborating with residents and stakeholders to develop targeted strategies and interventions to address specific issues. By addressing the root causes of crime and disorder, problem-oriented policing seeks to prevent future incidents and improve overall community safety and well-being. This principle aligns with the philosophy of community policing, which emphasizes collaboration, problem-solving, and partnerships between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. Question 16. Which of the following is true regarding West Virginia's laws governing the possession of firearms? A. Open carry of firearms is prohibited in all public places. B. Concealed carry permits are not required for the possession of firearms. C. Minors under the age of 18 are prohibited from possessing firearms. D. Firearms are allowed in school zones without any restrictions. Correct answer. C. Minors under the age of 18 are prohibited from possessing firearms. Explanation. In West Virginia, minors under the age of 18 are generally prohibited from possessing firearms, with certain exceptions for supervised activities such as hunting or target shooting. The possession and carrying of firearms in public places are regulated by state laws, which may vary depending on the location and circumstances. While West Virginia generally allows open carry of firearms without a permit for individuals who are legally eligible to possess firearms, there are restrictions on carrying firearms in certain locations, such as government buildings, schools, and private property where firearms are prohibited by the owner or occupant. Additionally, individuals who wish to carry concealed firearms in West Virginia are required to obtain a concealed carry permit issued by the state. Question 17. Law enforcement officers in West Virginia often encounter individuals with varying levels of emotional distress or mental health issues. Which of the following is an effective communication strategy for de-escalating tense situations? A. Raising your voice to assert authority and command respect. B. Using empathetic listening and validating the individual's feelings. C. Issuing ultimatums and threats to compel compliance. D. Ignoring the individual's emotional state and focusing solely on the facts. Correct answer. B. Using empathetic listening and validating the individual's feelings. Explanation. Empathetic listening and validating the individual's feelings are effective communication strategies for de-escalating tense situations involving emotional distress or mental health issues. By demonstrating empathy, understanding, and respect for the individual's perspective and emotions, law enforcement officers can establish rapport and build trust, which can help diffuse conflicts and prevent escalation. Active listening skills, such as paraphrasing, reflecting feelings, and asking open-ended questions, can also facilitate constructive communication and promote cooperation and collaboration between the officer and the individual. These strategies are consistent with the principles of crisis intervention and de-escalation training, which emphasize the importance of empathy, patience, and non-confrontational communication techniques in resolving conflicts and managing crisis situations. Question 18. Which of the following best describes the purpose of law enforcement in the criminal justice system of West Virginia? A. Enforcing civil laws and regulations. B. Administering justice through punishment of offenders. C. Protecting individual rights and upholding the rule of law. D. Generating revenue through fines and penalties. Correct answer. C. Protecting individual rights and upholding the rule of law. Explanation. The purpose of law enforcement in the criminal justice system of West Virginia is to protect individual rights and uphold the rule of law. Law enforcement officers are tasked with enforcing laws, maintaining public order, and protecting citizens from crime and victimization. Central to this mission is the protection of individual rights, including constitutional rights such as due process, equal protection, and freedom from unlawful searches and seizures. By upholding the rule of law and ensuring that justice is administered fairly and impartially, law enforcement agencies in West Virginia contribute to the safety, security, and well-being of communities across the state. Question 19. Scenario. Officer Smith, a patrol officer in West Virginia, observes a suspicious individual loitering near a local convenience store known for recent incidents of theft. As Officer Smith approaches the individual to initiate contact, the individual becomes hostile and refuses to comply with Officer Smith's commands. What should Officer Smith do in this situation according to West Virginia law enforcement procedures? A. Immediately escalate the situation by using physical force to subdue the individual. B. Retreat to a safe distance and call for backup to assist with the encounter. C. Ignore the individual's behavior and proceed with questioning. D. Detain the individual without probable cause for further investigation. Correct answer. B. Retreat to a safe distance and call for backup to assist with the encounter. Explanation. In this situation, Officer Smith should prioritize officer safety and take steps to de-escalate the encounter to prevent the situation from escalating further. Given the individual's hostile behavior and refusal to comply with commands, Officer Smith should retreat to a safe distance and call for backup to assist with the encounter. Calling for backup allows Officer Smith to have additional support and resources available to manage the situation effectively and ensure the safety of both the officer and the individual. It's important for law enforcement officers in West Virginia to follow departmental policies and procedures for handling confrontational encounters and to use de-escalation techniques and communication skills to diffuse tense situations whenever possible. Question 20. What is one key tip for candidates preparing to take the West Virginia Police Entry Assessment exam? A. Memorize specific sections of the West Virginia Code for quick reference during the exam. B. Focus on developing critical thinking skills and problem-solving abilities. C. Avoid studying the foundational principles of law enforcement and criminal justice. D. Rely solely on practical experience rather than studying theoretical concepts. Correct answer. B. Focus on developing critical thinking skills and problem-solving abilities. Explanation. One key tip for candidates preparing to take the West Virginia Police Entry Assessment exam is to focus on developing critical thinking skills and problem-solving abilities. While memorization of specific laws and regulations is important, the exam is designed to assess candidates' understanding of foundational principles of law enforcement, criminal justice, and public safety. Therefore, candidates should focus on understanding the underlying concepts and applying them to various scenarios and situations encountered in law enforcement practice. Developing critical thinking skills such as analytical reasoning, decision-making, and effective communication will not only help candidates succeed on the exam but also prepare them for the challenges and responsibilities of a career in law enforcement in West Virginia. Question 21. Which of the following scenarios would constitute a violation of an individual's Miranda rights under West Virginia law? A. A police officer conducts a routine traffic stop and asks the driver if they have been drinking alcohol. B. During a custodial interrogation, a suspect is questioned without being informed of their right to remain silent. C. A law enforcement officer obtains a search warrant from a judge based on probable cause. D. An individual voluntarily consents to a search of their vehicle without any coercion or duress. Correct answer. B. During a custodial interrogation, a suspect is questioned without being informed of their right to remain silent. Explanation. In West Virginia, Miranda rights, which include the right to remain silent and the right to have an attorney present during questioning, must be read to suspects before a custodial interrogation occurs. Failure to inform a suspect of their Miranda rights can result in any statements obtained during the interrogation being suppressed in court. This requirement stems from the U.S. Supreme Court case Miranda v. Arizona, which established the necessity of informing individuals of their rights to protect against self-incrimination during police questioning. Question 22. Which of the following factors determines the degree of a crime in West Virginia's criminal law? A. The social status of the perpetrator. B. The amount of media attention the crime receives. C. The severity of the harm caused by the crime. D. The political affiliation of the victim. Correct answer. C. The severity of the harm caused by the crime. Explanation. In West Virginia's criminal law, the degree of a crime is determined by the severity of the harm caused by the crime. This includes factors such as the extent of physical injury, financial loss, or emotional trauma inflicted upon the victim. Crimes that result in more serious harm or pose greater risks to public safety are typically classified as higher-degree offenses and carry more severe penalties. The classification of crimes and their corresponding degrees are outlined in the West Virginia Code, which provides statutory definitions and sentencing guidelines for various criminal offenses. Question 23. Which of the following actions should a law enforcement officer take when conducting a traffic stop in West Virginia? A. Approach the vehicle with their firearm drawn for safety. B. Issue a citation without informing the driver of the reason for the stop. C. Position their patrol vehicle behind the stopped vehicle for maximum visibility. D. Allow the driver to exit the vehicle and approach the officer's patrol car. Correct answer. C. Position their patrol vehicle behind the stopped vehicle for maximum visibility. Explanation. When conducting a traffic stop in West Virginia, law enforcement officers should position their patrol vehicle behind the stopped vehicle for maximum visibility and safety. This positioning allows the officer to maintain a clear line of sight of the stopped vehicle and its occupants while minimizing the risk of being struck by passing traffic. Approaching the vehicle with a drawn firearm or allowing the driver to exit the vehicle without specific instructions from the officer can escalate tensions and increase the risk of a dangerous confrontation. Officers should follow established protocols and procedures for conducting traffic stops to ensure the safety of all parties involved. Question 24. Scenario. Officer Johnson responds to a domestic disturbance call involving a married couple. Upon arrival, Officer Johnson observes signs of physical altercation and emotional distress from both parties. The husband admits to pushing his wife during an argument, while the wife expresses fear for her safety but refuses to press charges. What should Officer Johnson prioritize in this situation according to West Virginia law enforcement principles? A. Arresting the husband for domestic violence despite the wife's reluctance to press charges. B. Mediating the conflict and facilitating communication between the couple to resolve the issue peacefully. C. Advising the wife to leave the premises for her safety without taking further action. D. Issuing a warning to both parties and leaving the scene without further intervention. Correct answer. B. Mediating the conflict and facilitating communication between the couple to resolve the issue peacefully. Explanation. In situations involving domestic disturbances, law enforcement officers in West Virginia should prioritize de-escalation and conflict resolution to promote the safety and well-being of all parties involved. This may involve mediating the conflict, facilitating communication between the individuals, and exploring options for resolving the underlying issues peacefully. While officers have the duty to protect victims of domestic violence and enforce relevant laws, they should also consider the preferences and autonomy of the individuals involved, especially if the victim expresses reluctance to press charges or pursue legal action. Officer Johnson should assess the situation, ensure the safety of the individuals involved, and provide appropriate resources and support to address their needs. Question 25. Which of the following elements is necessary to prove the commission of a crime in West Virginia? A. Intent to commit the crime. B. Prior criminal record of the defendant. C. Opportunity to commit the crime. D. Presence of law enforcement at the scene. Correct answer. A. Intent to commit the crime. Explanation. In West Virginia, to prove the commission of a crime, the prosecution must establish the presence of certain elements, including the defendant's intent to commit the crime mens rea. Intent refers to the mental state or purpose behind the defendant's actions and is a crucial element in determining criminal liability. While the presence of law enforcement at the scene may contribute to the investigation and apprehension of suspects, it is not a necessary element to prove the commission of a crime. Similarly, the defendant's prior criminal record or opportunity to commit the crime may be relevant factors in assessing culpability but are not essential elements required for conviction. Question 26. During a routine patrol, Officer Martinez observes a vehicle with expired license plates. Officer Martinez initiates a traffic stop and approaches the vehicle to speak with the driver. As Officer Martinez approaches, he notices the driver reaching under the seat. What should Officer Martinez do in this situation according to West Virginia law enforcement procedures? A. Immediately draw his firearm and order the driver to exit the vehicle. B. Verbally instruct the driver to keep their hands visible and refrain from reaching under the seat. C. Ignore the driver's actions and proceed with routine questioning. D. Issue a citation for the expired license plates and allow the driver to leave without further investigation. Correct answer. B. Verbally instruct the driver to keep their hands visible and refrain from reaching under the seat. Explanation. In this situation, Officer Martinez should prioritize officer safety and take precautions to prevent potential risks or threats. Verbally instructing the driver to keep their hands visible and refrain from reaching under the seat allows Officer Martinez to maintain control of the situation and minimize the risk of harm to himself and others. Drawing a firearm or ignoring the driver's actions without taking appropriate precautions could escalate tensions and increase the likelihood of a dangerous confrontation. Officer Martinez should remain vigilant, observe the driver's actions, and follow established protocols and procedures for conducting traffic stops to ensure the safety of all parties involved. Question 27. Which of the following technologies is commonly used by law enforcement officers in West Virginia to document evidence at crime scenes? A. Radar gun. B. Breathalyzer. C. Body-worn camera. D. Mobile fingerprint scanner. Correct answer. C. Body-worn camera. Explanation. Body-worn cameras are commonly used by law enforcement officers in West Virginia to document evidence at crime scenes and record interactions with individuals during law enforcement activities. Body-worn cameras capture audio and video footage from the officer's perspective, providing a comprehensive record of events that can be used as evidence in investigations, court proceedings, and internal reviews. The use of body-worn cameras promotes transparency, accountability, and trust between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve by providing an objective record of law enforcement encounters. Additionally, body-worn cameras can enhance officer safety and effectiveness by serving as a valuable tool for documenting incidents and preserving critical evidence. Question 28. Which of the following strategies is consistent with the principles of community policing in West Virginia? A. Reactive response focusing on rapid deployment of law enforcement resources. B. Isolation of law enforcement from community members to minimize interactions. C. Establishing partnerships and collaborations with community stakeholders. D. Authoritarian enforcement tactics to maintain strict control over communities. Correct answer. C. Establishing partnerships and collaborations with community stakeholders. Explanation. Community policing in West Virginia emphasizes building partnerships and collaborations with community stakeholders to address crime and public safety issues collectively. This approach involves engaging with residents, businesses, schools, and other community organizations to identify priorities, develop solutions, and implement strategies tailored to the specific needs and concerns of each neighborhood. By fostering trust, communication, and cooperation between law enforcement agencies and the community, community policing initiatives aim to enhance public safety, prevent crime, and improve the quality of life for all residents. Establishing partnerships and collaborations is a fundamental component of community-oriented policing and reflects the commitment of law enforcement agencies in West Virginia to work collaboratively with communities to address shared challenges and achieve common goals. Question 29. Law enforcement officers in West Virginia often encounter individuals exhibiting signs of substance abuse or intoxication. Which of the following behaviors may indicate that an individual is under the influence of drugs or alcohol? A. Slow and slurred speech. B. Hyperactivity and restlessness. C. Increased alertness and focus. D. Decreased heart rate and blood pressure. Correct answer. A. Slow and slurred speech. Explanation. Slow and slurred speech is a common indicator of intoxication or impairment resulting from the use of drugs or alcohol. Substance abuse can impair cognitive and motor functions, leading to changes in speech patterns, coordination, and behavior. Law enforcement officers in West Virginia are trained to recognize signs of intoxication and impairment during interactions with individuals and to respond appropriately based on departmental policies and procedures. Identifying individuals who are under the influence of drugs or alcohol is critical for ensuring public safety, assessing the need for medical attention, and enforcing relevant laws related to impaired driving or public intoxication. Question 30. What is the primary purpose of conducting foot patrols and neighborhood watches in West Virginia? A. To apprehend suspects and make arrests. B. To gather intelligence on criminal activities. C. To deter crime and enhance community safety. D. To enforce compliance with local ordinances. Correct answer. C. To deter crime and enhance community safety. Explanation. The primary purpose of conducting foot patrols and neighborhood watches in West Virginia is to deter crime and enhance community safety through proactive engagement and visibility in neighborhoods and public spaces. Foot patrols and neighborhood watches allow law enforcement officers and community members to collaborate in identifying and addressing safety concerns, preventing criminal activity, and fostering a sense of shared responsibility for public safety. By maintaining a visible presence in communities, law enforcement officers can deter potential offenders, reassure residents, and build trust and positive relationships with community members. Foot patrols and neighborhood watches complement other law enforcement strategies and initiatives aimed at reducing crime and enhancing the quality of life for residents across West Virginia.